paying any attention to me. I'll read from the last 8 years or so. Not that it's a pretty picture, but it's all there. And I want to thank, many thanks to Stacy for inviting me to be here tonight to read with Micah. Night Palace. This was written for Micah Ballard. Night Palace. The best thing about the past is that it's over when you die. You wake up from the dream. That's your life. Then you grow up and get to be post-human in a past that keeps happening ahead of you. Dust, for my old friend, the painter Arthur Okamura. It's terrible what's happening in this war atmosphere when your government lies to you and neglects the people. It's bad for your mind when the politics of connection show ignorance and preference for the stupid junta that has slyly preempted the beehive. Time to dive for the Madhyamika school and middle way ourselves through the course of oppression to come. I prefer not to have to bother in this landscape of spring to judge whether these apple blossoms are natural or not. I just want to be ordinary and finish my toast while Arthur Okamura is on the prowl with his notebook and pen, sketching the dust in the wind. To live in this world again, you must hide yourself, change your flamboyance to a dull hue. Does this mean I'll never have any fun? No one will notice you. The gods won't drag you off the earth for their own entertainment. You are camouflaged with simplicity. Rock. Hit absolute rock bottom. Are you there, rock? No. No rock on bottom. Carl Jung greeted all his kitchen utensils, this is true, first thing in the morning. Good morning, frying pan. Hello, cup. Greetings, little silver spoon. We're all in this together, even though your thoughts think you are a big deal and try to run you into somebody special like God, who does not stoop to good and evil. Billions spent on war so far could have been spent on dentistry. You cannot hide from the sorrow and danger of invading a country like a video game, or that the media news becomes your life. The poison oak turning red in the continuity of the underbrush, everlasting pearly wisdom reseeding like crazy. Really, can't see a foot ahead of me. Not sun, nor moon, nor stars. So there we are, in this dim light, contemplating the agro-terrorism of biotech corn, or Phytophthora or the Phytophthora ramorum pathogen, which strikes an oak to sudden death, peering at concepts like dangerous democracies, peering out from under the covers in the season of the fog. About now, this mooching doe, munching the fallen apples from the tree outside the door, doesn't even bother to move when I approach her, suggesting she exit, which she does, apple still in mouth, bounding across the overgrazed wild sweet peas. About now, tiny iridescent pieces of abalone, so intimate these overcast days. Home is the moment the quail arrive. Home is the moment the quail arrive. My company is small in Bolinas, which you can see the cast of characters as I read them to you. It's a small town, about 2,000 people. Sunday, when your mind flies away with a poem on a page, do you both end up in a lonesome place in the backyard of words as soft and familiar as the bee buzzing the blue glass, which is the only company you have? Sharp rap on the knee. A tiny apple falls through gravity. You have a way with your words, quote, thinking is a pathology that has found freshly discovered ground, but if you think your way into the next scenario, good luck. Buster Bush and co. have whacked the globe a hard blow of the uglies pathogen, and it's a disastrous scene. Notice the tiniest first baby quail, and the far scallop of shadow, a tender mouthful of hope, scratching down a dainty slope of wind to move on, to move on. It's from a book of, called Not Veracruz that Vincent Katz did, White Kites. A kite is a hawk-like bird. White kites. Oh, those gorgeous white kites, courting in the tops of the pines. Around here they sound a Swedish dove-gray whistle to each other. For a moment is agonizing, sad, final. So still. 11 surfers out there going nowhere. The philosophic language of Buddhism for my computer. The attempt to portray, explain consciousness with words is, of course, antithetical to a wordless Buddhist state. So see if you can erase this, you fucker. Elegant simplicity, or an unrefined step about entering into an agreement with the page of the moment. Demons are more or less human in appearance. Monsters are more animal-like. The first soul or spirit that resides in a person is immortal. The second soul is the animal spirit you acquire at birth, with a real counterpart, animal spirit, roving around in the world. If it dies, you die. That's it. You go to a place, and you go to a place of understanding. Do you have to move? The Art of Living Slowly, on being photographed with Arthur Okamura. How I wish I had had my hair cut before being photographed at the local figure drawing show last Saturday, which will live on the front page of the weekly Marin News for as long as paper and air last. And may I ask, how old is air, holding the sorrowful remnants of little nations, conquering littler nations whose names we don't even know anymore, although the groundwork remains the same, impatient aging, or you can drop the patient part. The ground is changing, always changing. No escape from Pema Chodron's wisdom of no escape. No escape. The desire to change is fundamentally a form of aggression towards yourself. In 1962, when I was leaving India with Gary Snyder, I saw a necklace called a beggar necklace, made of semi-precious stones that I wanted. Gary said, yes, you can buy it if you learn the real names of all the stones. Never pass up an opportunity for self-education. The New Yorker magazine is doing a profile of Snyder, and I told the reporter Dana Goodyear this story and showed her the necklace. A New Yorker fact checker, Chris Jennings, called me up yesterday and wanted to know how many different stones there were in the necklace. Dana wrote that there were dozens. I went and got the necklace and counted the different kinds of stones over the phone to the fact checker. 8 different kinds of stones. Red, orange, green, milky white, blue, mossy green, mottled brown, glittery rust. Bottoms up. A very stable negativity. Do not despair for at least another 5 minutes. While you take a break to feed your demons, a very complicated piece of cooking. But worth it, for the world is starting to seem other than it is. An exhausted song sparrow has just arrived from the north, starting to locate some ease into the space. The season's first rain is gentle and all day long. I'm very busy now, so I can't answer these questions about beat women poets. A startled melancholy underlies all. The party's over for the dollar. Quote, blood-spattered wallpaper would find a substantial niche market. Is it that you don't want to do it, or that you can't make the private public like the poet? But does the public want to hear it? US has a lot of enemies. Are they mine too? Not a very nice night. I'm stuffing a long woolen muffler into this person's mouth. Really, there is no solution. The word solution came up. Really, there is no solution, no such thing as a solution. It's just going to live on with one rotten moment after another until the situation wears out and God gets his way and deeds all land for eternity to the loudest voice. You know what? This isn't even my business. Isn't even in my backyard. The radio, the TV, the internet, and the paper bring me all this news that's none of my business. I'm tired of global awareness emanating from my position at the on and off button, which is now off on the Afghanistan ghastly goal of finishing the job. All that in-the-moment stuff, the rotten moment lives forever in a very deep pit it cannot ever climb out of. Better shift to some other conceits. Quote, I go way back, I'm a goddess. The tall votive candle for Lenore Candell goes out with a pop as Jim and Maggie are leaving. I was born old. That's why old things are so familiar, like the return of the now ever-present mockingbird. Take it easy when you return. Don't let anger mar your entrance. Think about your dreams, the comings and goings of people waiting in the bread line near the beach. Why are you feeling better now? You just come here and take the cream off the top, or the 1%. Just come here and take the cream off the top. I'll say, there are those Buddhists, this is a quote from John Blofield, like myself, who do not scorn the idea of mere things possessing a sanctity of their own. quote, unlimited growth on a planet of finite size. The brisk spring wind sets in motion the wheel of mind, restless as 5 monkeys running in place. At least it's entertaining when there are dreams of many energetically bringing Zen from India to China to Japan to California and New York, riding on a wave of understanding, and like sunlight, arriving without a sound. And a famous quote, a great vampire squid is wrapped around the face of humanity. Never heard that about Goldman Sachs. And no more free ownerships of seeds, which is as discouraging as the compost grinder disgorging sounds across the road like a semi-truck idling its motor from 9 to 4 p.m. Really pissed off, turn up the jazz station really, really loud, possibly annoying another neighbor behind me. Remember, before it all quickly drains away, you were practicing patience today. Mocking yourself. A night full of yellow rubber duckies leads one to the low tide of the imagination. Actually, someone's really out there picking up stone sand dollars after picking up the daily news. Yuck, what a blast of the nasty past with failing banks. Guess what? You get no interest whatsoever in this melancholy climate of late afternoon. For heaven's sakes, learn how to take care of more than yourself, balancing the give and take of what it takes to make a wholesome change into the American dream going south without a jot of understanding about these phony wars and delirious debt. Iron fist. Do you really think an enemy can be killed? Do you think the enemy will ever go away as long as it still inhabits that entity called enemy? Stopping the offensive now would waste the great strides this country has made with the iron fist of people in a fight to the bitter end. Meanwhile, the sinister weather of summer has entered the winter month of January. There is a dawning awareness that the system has crashed. And a few more. Last rays in the garden. They lasted a long time, didn't they? Those rays. Albert Saito, February 4th, 1926 to June 2nd, 2011. Albert Saito was a friend of the, he was Albert Saito. When I came back from almost 2 years traveling to Europe and New York in the late 60s, I found the Summer of Love and the Bay Area very changed and awash with psychedelic participants. I went to visit Albert, who was living in Mill Valley. He showed me some new household practices he had learned. When you were sweeping the floor in the morning, take a piece of newspaper and dampen one edge and lay it on the floor. Then you sweep up all the dust from the floor onto it and folded it up and put it neatly in the wastebasket. And then I asked him, how can I understand what's going on with this new hippie culture? Albert said, well, when you wake up in the morning, get stoned. And I mean really, really stoned. If you do this every day, you can eventually change your consciousness. So I did this morning practice, and about 15 years later, when I saw him next, I asked, did you ever say when we were supposed to stop? Hey, thanks. Took me 1.5 hours to write just this. Adapt to the times, and you will have listeners, all of them equally cynical as you are. Beyond the Missouri sky plays under Oaxaca rain clouds the issue. Looking at the tissue silk of a tiny handkerchief made in Japan before the war, which war, one wonders now looking under Fujiyama's snow-capped peak. Everything seems a peaceful treasure, like this moment when voices arrive beyond the gate and then evaporate. Write something about poetics. I dream about a totem pole of poets. Actually, it was a poster Andrew Hoyen did for a reading of Bolinas writers in the early 70s at SF MoMA, and we're sitting on each other's shoulders. In the dream, Bob Creeley leans against me. The local wild is looking pretty trimmed and tame. Where did all those late night thoughts go about emptiness and the majority being those who have passed away from us? I don't like the word old when speaking about myself, preferring the word mature. She is in her mature years, watching the great blue heron strike a gopher in its hole and gulp it down. We're Leslie Scalapino, wishing you clear new space upon your departure. The space, of course, of foothills, mountains, rivers, oceans, and sky, and to rooms with all the books and the voices that murmur them all through time, and the meetings with old friends and ones yet to arrive through the gates that open to let you pass. The Phoebe and the icy cold wind darts quickly for food in the air, while the flock of meadowlarks pecking on the ground wander near the house at the edge of the meadow. Nothing stays still for long, they're gone. Mist on the orchids and mist across the ridge. Warm sun at the door. Come in. I'll close from a Philip Whalen Dharma talk. Dragon wind of universal influence, Whalen says, emptiness is the thing we are full of, and everything you see is empty, full of it, packed full of everything empty. And we are in it. That's what we experience, the great and manifest and unborn live chaos. Okay, that's enough there.
Yeah.